brotherhood of the Muslims was the true path of the believers. He was given 3 powerful titles by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and they were Babul Ilm, which means the gate of learning, Al-Murtada, which means the one with whom Allah is pleased, and Asadullah, which means the lion of Allah. During his reign as Caliph of the Faithful, Ali proved that he earned all of these titles.
Right, and the end of the line of the rightly guided Caliphs came from a sect of traitors, individuals who rejected the rule of any person over the faithful and sent assassins to kill all the Muslim leaders of that time. And all the assassins failed except the one sent to kill Caliph Ali radiallahu anhu. This group called the Kharijites broke away from the rest of Islam and continued to bring harm to the truly faithful. This group continued to cause fitna and is responsible for the establishment of nationalist groups and gave rise to the radical sects which abused Islamic laws.
Yes, and the Kharijites, I'm sorry.
Right.
The Kharijites, I pronounced that wrong. They're actually the ones, if you really want to get picky about it, and everybody should be aware of this, the Kharijites are still existing to this day.
Is that right?
Inside of other communities. This sect, this very small sect, is responsible for 90% of the problems in the Muslim world. And yeah, it is actually because we broke a lot of the first rules about the religion, which is to not divide the faith. Right. We allowed during the first few generations after the Prophet to have a breakdown in this social order. Now, Caliph Ali left a lot of important sayings within his orders to the faithful. These are just a few because there's actual lists of hundreds of these.
Okay.
One who knows himself knows his Creator. If you love Allah, tear out your heart's love of the world. The fear of Allah makes one secure. How can you rejoice about this life that grows shorter every hour? A worldwide reputation can be undone by 1 hour's degradation. 3 defects make life miserable. 1, vindictiveness, 2, jealousy, and 3, a bad character. One who is proud of worldly possessions in this fleeting existence is ignorant. The best man is he who is most helpful to his fellow man. One who thinks himself the best is the worst. Learned men live on even after death. Ignorant men are dead although alive. There is no treasure like knowledge gained. Knowledge is wisdom, and the educated man is the wise man. He who never corrects himself will never correct another. Ignorance harms a man more than a cancer in the body. One of the signs of a stupid man is his frequent change of opinion. Beware of backbiting. It sows the seeds of bitterness and separates you from Allah and man. The best truth is keeping of promises. Better to be silent than lie.
Right.
Do not flatter. It is no sign of faith. A hypocrite's tongue is clean, but there is sickness in his heart. Better to be alone than with bad company. The end of the rightly guided caliphs is a close in the chapter of the history of Islam. From this point on, there will be division of sects and various interpretations of worship, which culminate into the sort of bickering and backbiting that our community suffers from today. Far too much energy is wasted on accusing fellow Muslims of being Shia or Sufi, as if it were a bad thing. Far too much energy is wasted on suspecting brothers of worshiping this way or that. And far too many self-proclaimed scholars condemn others because they are too arrogant to see that Allah allows more freedom than they themselves can see. I believe in the strength of Islam to bring our fractured ummah back together. Shaitan won a serious prize in conniving with assassins and destroying the chain of leadership. Shaitan wins victories every time a Muslim speaks ill about another Muslim. We must correct one another when we are wrong, yes, but do not go around saying that someone is this or that because he may follow a different imam than you. If he believes there is only one God and Muhammad is the final and best messenger, then you are commanded to embrace him as a brother in Islam and advise him out of love, not arrogance.
MashaAllah, true words were never spoken by Brother Saifullah. Alright, moving forward in the history of Islam, after the death of Ali radiallahu anhu, the caliphate became a hereditary rule, passing down from one sect of people to another, and so the timeline of the Muslims became divided by the caliphate family chains.
It was shortly after this generation that the Umayyad Caliphate was established, from 661 to 750 AD, which is the year 40 to 132 after Hijrah.
Right.
They moved the capital of the Islamic world to Damascus, and it was during this time that Islam spread further through the world. Now, China had been visited by Muslims during the life of the Prophet Muhammad, but it was during the Umayyad Caliphate that saw the greatest expansion throughout China and into other Asian countries. Trade through the ocean extended Islam all the way to the southern tip of Africa and then to Malaysia and Indonesia during this time.
Right, and it is known that Islam spread into Africa even during the life of Muhammad, peace be upon him, as the Abyssinian king embraced Islam, and all of what is known as the Horn of Africa soon became Muslim. What rather many people don't realize is that the Chinese have had just as long a history of Islam as Africa does, Brother Saifullah.
Right. You know, it was recorded by the Tang dynasty in China that Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas visited in 650 AD, and this is officially considered the birth of Islam in China.
Mm-hmm.
The Chinese Emperor Yonghui had a great deal of respect for Islam and considered it to be completely compatible with the teachings of Confucius. In order to show his admiration for Islam, the emperor appointed and established the first mosque in China at Jiang'an, which still stands today after 1,400 years. Now, throughout the Song dynasty, which was from 960 AD to 1279 AD, the office of the Director General of Shipping was always held by a Muslim. Throughout these times, the Muslims in China experienced great economic success and were recognized as being fair, law-abiding, and self-disciplined. There was no record of any anti-Muslim sentiment until much later. It was during the Ming dynasty from 1368 to 1644 AD that Islam was fully adopted into the network of Chinese culture and were integrated with the Han people. This is considered the golden age of Islam in China. Chinese Muslims at this time adopted Chinese names as well as traditional Muslim names. The custom of dress maintained by the concept of modesty, but fully fused with the fashions of China at the time. By the end of the Ming dynasty, there was very little distinction between Muslims and non-Muslims in China, unlike before.
Mm-hmm.
The rise of the Qing dynasty from 1644 to 1911 changed this. The Qing were Manchu, whereas previous scholars had been Han, and the Manchu were a minority of China. They created a lot of distrust among people with regard to the Muslims in a bid to stay in power through a divide and conquer tactic. After the Qing dynasty fell in 1911, the Republic of China was established by Sun Yat-sen, who announced that the country belonged equally to the Han, Hui, Manchu, Ming, and Song peoples. And the Hui, of course, are the Muslim peoples.
Mm-hmm.
His policies led to a reestablishing of peace between all the regions of China. After Mao Zedong's revolution in 1948 and the advent of communist rule in China, the Muslims and all other ethnic minorities found themselves oppressed. Today, there are over 20 million Muslims in China, most of which are still the Hui people.
MashaAllah, barakallah. So going back to the Umayyad Caliphate, it was during the reign of Umayyad that a deeper study of the establishment of fiqh, or Islamic law, was established. There was also the foundation of the Sharia court system.
Now, after 90 years, the Umayyad were succeeded by the Abbasid Caliphate, which ruled from 650 to 935 CE, or AD, which is 132 to 323 Hijrah. They moved the capital to Baghdad. Now, during their 500-year rule, the Abbasids established a more authoritative